What if I tell you I can fucking save you $8,000 in just following these simple 10 steps? The good news, you'll start saving immediately as soon as you fucking start them. Hi guys, my name is Michael. I am 34 years old. I went to school to get my economics degree and got my master's in business administration. So the last decade, I have been in business and finance. I am a husband and soon to be a father in March. Ooh, yeah, that's in 6 months. Excited and I'm nervous at the same time. All right, so with that being said, let's get started on those 10 items. Number 1, change the 5 most common used light bulbs in your house to LED. Buying these LED light bulbs and replacing them with your main lights that you use in the house, they will immediately pay for themselves within a month of purchasing them. So LED light bulbs last 25 times longer than the traditional incandescent light bulbs. They're way more energy efficient. You can buy a bulk at like Costco. They're like under $2 a bulb, super cheap. Number 2, fix that leaking water. That will save you $600 a year. So one of the most common leaks in the house is that toilet bowl that keeps running water. So all you need to do is replace that flush valve in the toilet bowl. You can buy at a nearby departmental store that costs $8, right? So having this water run consistently, it uses anywhere between 200 gallons a day. So over a month, that will quickly cost you $50. So as soon as you hear that leaking water, fix it right away. Another common leak is the irrigation in your yard, your grass. If your water sprinkler broke, it's leaking water. So it's gonna require a little bit more skill to fix, but can be easily done through like a YouTube video. You just buy a PVC pipe and a glue. Costs under $15 for that replacement. It would just take you a little bit of time, first time changing that out. Number 3, that heater. Don't let it run all day. That will easily cost you $1,800 in just 6 months of running. So for me, at least, my nose gets really dry and I'll wake up with like a bloody nose sometimes if the heater's running all night long. So for me, I'm a little bit more sensitive to that. So if it gets really cold, I would typically turn on the heater, but turn it off right before bedtime and don't leave it running for like 20 minutes at a time. After 20 minutes, my house gets warm, so I don't need to keep running the heater all day. And a tip around that is you're only at one space in your house at a time, whether that's the living room or the bedroom or the kitchen. You don't need to heat up the entire house, right? You're only at one spot. So whatever space that's not being used, close those vents. So that way, when you turn on the heater, all the heat goes into to your source of space, which will immediately heat up that area. Letting your heater run all day, it will easily cost you anywhere between 15 to 20 bucks per day. So in 1 month, that will cost you $400+ for just leaving the heater on and running. That's really just wasting money. I mean, are you really home all day? Are you leaving the house, going to work? Well, if you are, it's good to invest something. Even if you're able to save $300 a month, right? Spend $100 on heater, saving $300. If you can save $300, I'm going to ask you, can you buy something or do something to save that, right? To reduce your heating, whether that's buying, a Nest heater, a Nest thermostat, you install it in your wall, and it tells you the temperature, and it'll set towards your schedule and your preferences, and it'll turn off when you're not home, or it'll lower the heater when you're sleeping, for example, because you are typically warmer under the blanket, so you don't need the heater to be on so high all day long. Or can you get better wall insulation, which will keep heat trapped inside the house longer, or get insulated windows in the bedroom? Or would you be able to purchase really warm pajamas and buy or invest into an electric blanket? I mean, even having that blanket on is gonna run very minimal electricity compared to the heater. And the last thing that I'd say is, which works for me, is invest in a good comforter. I spent like $100 to buy a really good comforter. I mean, as soon as I put that comforter over me, it's like super warm. I don't even need the heater on. A lot of times I don't need a lot of clothes on either. It's just because it's so warm. Number 4, jumping over to the AC unit. Same thing here. This will save you roughly $1,800 for 6 months, assuming that you're cold 6 months at a time and hot the other half the time during the year. So in regards to the AC unit, also you can save a lot of money by planting a really good shaded tree around your house, right? And then having some plants inside your house will also help a lot. These plants, they have a cooling effect, so having them and planting them around the house provides shade and actually really nice breeze. So it actually goes a really long way. Number 5 is using your electricity during peak hours. So if you're able to minimize that and only focus on using most of your electricity during off-peak hours, you can save immediately $600 a year. So in California, at least, the peak hours are typically between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m., which is the time when people get off work, they come home, they turn on the heater, turn on the AC, cooking, turn on all lighting in the house, doing laundry. So because of that, that's the peak hour. So by using your energy during the peak hour, that cost for that energy is around 3 times more than the typical cost. So being able to avoid using electricity during those times will save you in the long run, right? So I'll recommend one of your top 5 appliances in the house and just hold off on using that during peak hours. So the best time to use them would be either early in the morning or later in the evening, which are the off-peak times. So the main ones that I would consider is the AC heater unit. If you have an electric water heater, hold off on showering during that peak hour. Washer and dryer, definitely those will burn a lot of electricity. Having the oven on, hold off on using the oven until off-peak hours. Those also burn a lot of electricity. And dishwasher, you definitely don't want to use dishwasher. I mean, there's no reason to. You can set a timer or delay start at off-peak hours. So let's take a quick break here. I hope you liked my video so far and found some of the information useful. Please like, subscribe, and press that bell notification. I will post weekly content about personal finance. Also, that would really help out my channel a lot. Thank you. All right, back to the real deal. Number 6, check your monthly internet bill. So I can tell you over the last several years, I've been running at 20 megabytes per second. And I know some of you may be saying, really? How does that even work? That's so slow. Actually, 20 megabytes actually works just fine. I was able to watch Netflix. I was able to surf the internet. I was able to watch YouTube and videos online. There was actually no issues. So it worked just fine. Today, however, I have 100 megabytes per second, which is much faster. I do notice a difference, but that's just to tell you I've been using 20 megabytes and it's been just fine. So you don't need to pay that extra money to get that super fast speed, right? I mean, you're in a normal residential home, so you don't need that extra crazy speed. So I would recommend looking for internet that's $50 or under. I mean, that will easily save you $600 a year by just sticking to that number. So for me, I've been paying around $40 per month. Every 6 months or so, I have to call back in and tell them, hey, you're increasing my bill. And they'll always have a new promotion for you because they don't want to, it costs them more to lose a customer versus trying to get a new customer. So because I'm a long-time customer, they'll typically honor my deal. I just need to be able to spend 15, 20 minutes of my time to call in every 6 months, which I'm fine with. I'm able to pay under $50 a month. Number 7, guys, stick to one network subscription at a time. You don't need to have all of these great subscriptions. I know they're cheap, but you don't need them all. I mean, each of these networks, they have so many things to watch. You can't even watch them all. I mean, my favorite one that I've been watching the most is Netflix. But I also switch around to other subscriptions because I know they have some good shows on and I would like to watch them from time to time. So I would switch to Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO. Really depends on what I want to watch. But most of the time, I'm sticking to Netflix just because they have a lot more shows I like to watch. And guys, these are super easy to cancel and then restart. I mean, you log into your account as normal, you go to the settings, you just cancel, done. And then same thing, you log back in, start. I mean, it's super easy. I mean, this will save you $120 a year easily by just sticking to one subscription. Number 8, you definitely don't need cable. I mean, I go online and buy a leaf antenna. It's like a one-time cost of $40. I mean, once you install that in your house, you'll get 20 plus free channels and news, right? And that's free afterwards. So easily save a lot of money, $600 per year by just not paying for cable. Plus, you also have your network subscription. So between the local channel, the news, you also have Netflix or one of the other subscriptions to work with, right? So you have plenty to watch still. Number 9, guys, you definitely don't need to be spending 30 minutes in that shower. The typical time that you really need is 5 to 8 minutes. 8 minutes is actually the national average, but I mean, in that amount of time, you should be able to need to do everything that you need to do in the shower. So by showering 30 minutes, that's gonna cost you money, right? So by showering 30 minutes, if you're in a household of 4 people, if you're able to reduce that down to between 5 to 8 minutes, that's gonna easily save you $120+ per year by just showering, 5 to 8 minutes. Number 10, I'm gonna tell you, we all have cell phones and they are great and they are required. They are a necessity, essential in our time. But your phone plan carrier, you should not be paying more than $50 a month. I'm gonna say even $40 a month. You should really be paying under 40. For me and the company that I work for, we have more than 6,000 employees. And the company issues phones to all the employees. And guess what their plan is? Their plan is unlimited text and talk. For data, they have unlimited data. However, they only get 2 gigs of LTE speed. After 2 gigs, they get 3G. You heard me right, 3G, unlimited. Unlimited, it's slower for sure, but at least you can still use it if you happen to accidentally exceed your data. Now, I can tell you, of the 6,000 employees, it works just fine because you're home most of the time, right? Either home or going to work. Well, either one of those places, both of those places will have Wi-Fi for you. So you don't need data plan when there's Wi-Fi available, right? So for those of you that, that's the case, you really don't need that fancy plan of unlimited data. You're really just paying extra money for no reason, right? So unless you're streaming and using a lot of video and recording and uploading them on your phone while outside of your home or in areas where there's no Wi-Fi available, then yeah, definitely you should probably stick to your current plan. But if you're similar to me where you're home or only going to work, well, you don't need that fancy unlimited data that you're paying extra for. So by just eliminating that to the typical $40 or under, for a household of four, you can save $1,440 per year. And that's huge, guys. That's a lot of money you can do something else with. Oh, and I like to add, no one uses landline nowadays, right? We all have cell phones. So if you are one of those few that still has a landline, don't. I know it costs like $20 a month. It's dirt cheap, but that's still $140 a year that you can spend that for something else or save that and invest it and having it making more money for you, right? So, all right. So if you stay with me so far, I got one final tip for you. You can immediately put this into play and it will save you money right away. I got two words. This will save you $120 a year. I know it's not much, but it's a good amount that will save you some money. Two words for this: vampire electricity. No, I'm kidding. Not the literal term vampire, but what that means is the appliances is bleeding electricity even if they're on standby or they're on idle. So appliances continue to use electricity even if they're plugged in. So this typically accounts for 10% of your electricity bill. That's right. So by either unplugging your power from the wall when you're not using the appliance, or maybe having them plugged into a power strip and then just turn that power strip off instead of unplugging every single appliance, right? So that will typically save you a good amount of money by just making sure to unplug it from the wall if you're not using it, right? All right, so I hope you guys find this helpful and you can implement one or two of these into your daily lives at home. Comment below and let me know what has worked for you. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.